For the Knights of the Kingdom of Bretonnia, the joust is one of the most important events. With the support of King Laone, the sport has become a near perpetual event, and for knights looking to win glory, following the king's travels through the realm and partaking in tournaments isn't an uncommon practice. As they are heading in the same direction, these knights often form small travelling bands, as was the case for a small group led by Guimard de Bar, a knight of the realm. With him rode a small group of knights of the realm and knights errant, all looking to partake in the tournaments. These plans were interrupted, however, as they reached the Crossroads of Laone, and word reached them of a small group of beastmen pillaging the area. These beastmen had emerged from the nearby forest of Ardennes, a twisted wood overrun with greenskins, beastmen, and countless other monsters. Led by a Bestigor Gouge-horn, known only as Mulgrog, these beastmen sought to raid the lands of Bretonnia and accumulate plunder to rally more Gors to Mulgrog's banner and achieve his ambitions of becoming a war Gor. Hearing of the threat, Guimard and his companions knew they could not leave the raiders to do as they please. They gathered up what few men-at-arms were available and prepared to face these monsters. As luck would have it, the Pegasus Knight, Jacques Laure, happened to be flying overhead on his way to return with a message for his lord. Seeing the knights assembling and spotting the herd ahead, he joined with Guimard and pledged his aid in the coming battle. The sight of the Pegasus flying overhead alerted Mulgrog to the presence of opposition, and he led his herd to follow it. Within the hour they came into contact with the Bretonnian knights, and so it was that at the crossroads of Laone, the two forces joined in battle. Today's battle is a 300-point solo game of Warhammer Fantasy 6th edition Warbands, played between Bretonnia and Beasts of Chaos. As the two forces are moving to engage each other at the same time, they will be rolling for deployment and first turn, and victory will be determined by victory points. However, no bonus objectives will be used. In the roll-off, which side sets up first, the Bretonnians win, and the Beastmen have to begin deploying first. The Beastmen army is led by a Bestigor Gouge-horn, Mulgrog, who is part of a 12-man Bestigor herd. Alongside them is a beast herd, with 5 each of Gors and Ungors, deployed to their flank and ready to take cover in the surrounding forests. A unit of 8 Warhounds of Chaos are deployed on the southern edge of the board, positioned to sweep around the flank and attempt to come up behind the Bretonnians. Finally, a single Minotaur is deployed behind the Bestigor herd, ready to execute a countercharge when the opportunity presents itself. On the Bretonnian side, the gallant Guimard de Bar leads the army with his unit of 5 knights of the realm. They deploy on the flank, ready to ride around the building and catch the beastmen in the rear, a similar plan to that of the Warhounds. Alongside them is a unit of 5 knights errant, led by a Cavalier, deployed facing the enemy, ready to march forward and engage as quickly as possible, as is befitting knights errant. Between the two units of knights stands a unit of 5 men-at-arms, and behind the army sits the Pegasus Knight, Jacques Laure. As the battle has joined, the Bretonnians dismount and take a knee, offering their prayers to the Lady and surrendering the initiative to the Beastmen. By the time they have remounted, the Beastmen are already on the move. The various type of Gors move forward quickly, the Bestigors marching directly ahead, while the beast herd takes cover in the woods. Behind them, the Minotaur hangs far back, not committing to the fight just yet. While the beast herd can freely navigate the woods, the Warhounds of Chaos have trouble with their tightly packed formation. A few of them have to struggle through the undergrowth as they start their advance, and the whole unit stalls out as a result. With their prayers complete, the Bretonnians remount and take to the field. The Knights of the Realm ride across the flank, sweeping around the inn at the crossroads, while the Knights errant push forward, ready to charge the Bestigors in the next turn. The men-at-arms wheel and follow behind, while Jacques moves towards the inn, threatening to charge or slip into the enemy battle lines in the next turn. The Knights errant prove to be a little too eager, as both the Bestigors and the beast herd declare charges. The Lady smiles upon them, however, as the wheel of the Bestigors is a bit longer than expected, and they fall 1/4 of an inch short of the charge. Being so close and unimpeded by the forests, it's simply impossible for the beast herd to fail, and the fight ensues. The Gors and Ungors each kill one of the knight errants, who fail to inflict any damage in return. Their nerve halts this turn, however in the next turn, despite no damage being inflicted on either side, The superior numbers and deeper formation of the beast herd is enough to unnerve the knight-errants, who begin to flee. On the southern side of the board, the Warhounds move forward and wheel, but opt not to move any closer, refusing to provide the Bretonnians with an easy target. Even so, the Knights of the Realm declare a charge, but they fall short and find themselves in range to be charged by the beasts in the next turn. The Knights Errant fleeing the battlefield leave the men-at-arms and Jacquet in a sticky situation, as both had moved forward to threaten the flanks of the beast herd in the next turn, working on the assumption that the brave young knights would hold their own in the melee. Now, the Bretonnians find themselves set up for disaster. The start of the Beastmen turn threatens to be that disaster, as every unit on the board declares a charge. The beast herd gives chase to the Knights Errant, who flee once more. The next turn sees them running off the battlefield, highlighting why they have yet to be acknowledged as Knights of the Realm. Speaking of which, the Warhounds of Chaos charge the Knights and fail to inflict any casualties. The Bretonnians strike down a single Warhound in response, and they flee, just far enough to depart the battlefield, while the Knights of the Realm give chase. At the same time, Jacquet finds himself charged by the Minotaur, who, despite his monstrous strength, fails to inflict any damage. The knight strikes back and manages to injure the Minotaur himself as his Pegasus kicks out and inflicts a nasty wound of its own. This isn't enough to slay the Minotaur, but with one wound left, it's very near death. Even so, its bloodlust prevents it fleeing the combat. Not everything goes well for the Bretonnians, however. The Bestigors charge the men-at-arms and easily slay two of the peasants while taking no damage in return. The undisciplined rabble turn and flee, but are cut down with ease. Despite this setback, in the Bretonnians' turn, things continue going their way. The Knights of the Realm turn around and make their way back up the side of the board, looking to pick a fight with the Bestigors, while Jacquet continues fighting with the Minotaur. Despite appearing very similar to horses, a Pegasus is a very different creature. One major difference is that they are omnivorous and are just as comfortable eating oats as they are ripping out the necks of minotaurs with their teeth to enjoy a small snack, which is exactly what Jacquet's Pegasus does when he fails to land a hit with his sword. The fourth turn is very uneventful for both sides. Molgrog leads the Bestigors and Beast Herd towards Jacquet, trying to move away from the incoming threat on the flank. This proves a mistake, as Jacquet flies over them to take up a position behind the Beastmen formation, while Guimard de Bar brings his Knights of the Realm around to be ready to charge the Bestigors next turn. The Beast Herd gives chase, while Molgrog wheels his formation on the spot, getting ready to meet the charge head-on. He barely gets his Bestigors into position before the Bretonnians are upon them, Guimard's men charging the front, while Jacquet hits them in the flank. Despite executing a thunderous charge, the Knights only inflict 2 casualties among the tough Bestigors, but it proves enough to break them, and they flee an impressive 11 inches, too far to be caught by either force. The main reason the Knights fail to catch up to the Bestigors is because of the Beast Herd standing in the way. They crash into them, and in the next turn 2 Gors are killed. This panics the Beast Herd, causing it to fall back into Jacquet and being scattered beyond recovery. The Knights of the Realm give chase and run into the freshly rallied Bestigors. One of them is slain by the lances of the Knights, while 3 more fall under the hooves of the horses. One of them is caught by surprise as a Bestigor survives its attack and jumps up, striking the Knight off his horse. It's too little, too late, however, and the Bestigors break once more. This time, they are caught and killed. Before we look at the tactics used, if you enjoyed this battle report, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Every bit helps the channel grow and ensure there are plenty more Warbands battle reports to come. Next week will be the plundering of Kefri's tomb, a 350-point battle between Tomb Kings and vampire counts. And now, on to the tactics review. Beginning with the Bretonnian side of the battle, there are a few small mistakes worth pointing out. The first and most obvious is the way the Knights Errant rushed forwards on the first turn. They should have been moved a bit more conservatively to take advantage of the 6 extra inches of charge distance at their disposal. Obviously, losing them without achieving anything proved not to matter much, but it was a mistake nonetheless. Allowing Jacquet to be charged was also a mistake. There wasn't a lot of good options available for where to place him that turn, while still moving into that position, but that simply suggests he shouldn't have been put there at all. Again, everything worked out for the best, and he killed the Minotaur, but things working out does not negate them being a mistake. On the Beastman side, the choice to chase Jacquer was a mistake. There was no chance of him being caught, and the beast herd should have been positioned to defend the Bestigors better. The movement of the Bestigors is a little harder to determine would have been best. Perhaps fleeing further from the Knights of the Realm and attempting to delay the charge would have been smart, but I'm not entirely convinced there was a winning play from that position. One strategy that didn't get used, but I had theorized, was placing the Bestigor herd 8 to 10 inches behind the beast herd. When the beast herd was charged, it would then flee. With a little luck in the positioning, the Knights wouldn't be able to reach the Bestigor herd behind them, but the Bestigors would be able to countercharge in the next turn. Ultimately, the battlefield was too chaotic for such a plan, but don't be surprised if you see it in a future battle.